I want to tell you something that's going to upset a portion of this audience. And I'm saying it anyway because I think it needs to be said out loud, in plain language by someone who genuinely loves these cars. Modern BMW M cars are faster than they've ever been, more powerful, more technologically sophisticated, more capable on a track by every measurable metric, and somehow, they feel like less. Not less impressive, less alive. And that gap between impressive and alive is the most important conversation happening in the performance car world right now, and almost nobody is framing it honestly. Because here's the thing, if you grew up with the E46 M3, if you've ever driven an E39 M5, if you felt what those cars were trying to communicate through the steering wheel and the throttle and the way the chassis talk back to you, and then you step into a current M car and feel the difference, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You felt it the moment you turned the wheel. Maybe you couldn't articulate it immediately, but you felt it. And if you've never driven the old ones, by the end of this video, I think you're going to understand what the people who have are grieving. Because that's the right word for it, grieving. To understand what's been lost, you first have to understand what was there. And I mean really understand it, not just the specs and the accolades, but the philosophy, the intention behind these cars. Because BMW M didn't start as a marketing division. It started as a small group of engineers who genuinely believed that a car could be made to feel like an extension of the person driving it. Not a tool, not an appliance, an extension. The original M cars, the M1, the early M5, the M3 that started everything, those weren't built by running simulations and optimizing for lap times. They were built by people who drove, who felt, who cared about the communication between a human being and a machine in a way that was almost philosophical. The goal wasn't to be the fastest, it was to be the most honest, to give the driver the most accurate, complete information about what the car was doing so that the driver could make better decisions. So that skill was rewarded, so that the experience of driving had meaning beyond just getting somewhere quickly. That's what made BMW M special. Not the horsepower, the honesty. And the car that crystallized that philosophy better than any other, the one that people keep coming back to when this conversation starts, is the E46 M3. Early 2000s, naturally aspirated 3.2-liter straight six. Around 333 horsepower in European specification. By today's numbers, that sounds almost modest. By today's M-car standards, it's not even in the conversation. But here's the part that the numbers completely fail to capture. That engine revved to 8,000 RPM. 8,000! And the way it built toward that, the way it pulled harder and sounded more urgent and felt more alive the further you pushed it into that rev range, was something that had a narrative to it. A story with a beginning and a middle and an absolutely glorious ending every single time you went looking for it. You didn't just press an accelerator, you conducted something. And the steering. I need to talk about the steering because I think this is where the deepest part of the loss lives. Hydraulic, naturally weighted, with a directness and a texture that meant the road was never abstract. The car was telling you things constantly, about grip, about surface, about what was happening at the contact patch between those tires and whatever you were driving on. And you could listen. You could have a conversation with the car through your hands in a way that felt intimate. That's kind of a strange word to use about a machine, intimate. But I don't know a better one, and I think the people who felt it know exactly what I mean. So what happened? How did we get from there to here? Because the shift didn't happen overnight. It crept in, gradually, with reasons that were individually understandable and collectively devastating for people who cared about the original M ethos. It started with turbocharging. And look, I understand the engineering argument. Turbocharged engines make more power, deliver better fuel economy, pass emissions regulations more comfortably. The move toward forced induction was inevitable across the entire industry, not just at BMW. But something changed when M cars went turbocharged in a way that went beyond just the engine character. Because a naturally aspirated engine's power delivery is linear and progressive and honest in the same way the old steering was honest. What you do with the throttle is directly, immediately, proportionally what happens. There's no lag, no swell, no moment where the car decides to suddenly catch up with your right foot. The communication is pure, and when you add a turbocharger, even a very good one, even one engineered with real care, that purity is compromised. The power arrives in a way that has a different texture. That feels managed rather than natural. And something about that management, however competent, inserts a layer of translation between driver and machine that wasn't there before. The F80 M3, the first turbocharged generation of that car, was genuinely fast, quick to respond, tremendous power. But the people who drove both it and the E46 M3 back-to-back were often quiet afterward in a way that said more than any review could. And here's where things changed in a direction that I think even the optimists inside BMW M didn't fully anticipate. The cars kept getting heavier. Every generation. New safety requirements, bigger platforms, more technology, more features, more everything. The current M3 weighs somewhere in the region of 3,800 pounds. The E46 M3 weighed around 3,200. That's not a huge number on paper. On the road, it's a completely different experience. Weight is the enemy of the thing M cars used to do best, which was communicate. A lighter car responds faster, rotates more naturally, recovers more intuitively. It lets you feel the physics of what you're doing rather than having the electronics manage the physics on your behalf. And as the cars got heavier, the electronics had to get smarter to compensate. More intervention, more management, more layers between the driver and what's actually happening underneath them. And I know some people are going to push back on this. They're going to say the modern stability systems are so good, so transparent, so unobtrusive that they barely register. And in some conditions, that's true. But barely registering is not the same as not being there. And for the driver who wants to feel the car working at its limit, who wants that conversation to be unmediated and real, barely registering is still a filter, still a layer of translation, still the car deciding what information you're ready to receive. That's kind of a fundamental change in philosophy, even if it's well-intentioned. But the thing I want to talk about that I think generates the most genuine frustration among serious enthusiasts, and I mean frustration that borders on genuine offense, is the fake engine sounds. The artificially amplified or synthesized exhaust note played through the car's speakers. And I need to be careful here because I understand why it exists, and I still think it represents something important and troubling about where M cars have gone. The reason it exists is because modern turbocharged engines, heavily insulated for refinement, genuinely don't produce the sound that BMW's market research tells them buyers want to hear in an M car. So they engineer a solution. They play a curated, carefully tuned version of what an M car is supposed to sound like through the audio system and pipe it into the cabin. And the result is, technically, a pleasant sound. It's not terrible. But it's a performance. It's a car performing the idea of itself rather than simply being itself. And once you know that, once you've heard a naturally aspirated BMW M engine doing that at 8,000 RPM through actual mechanical reality, the simulation feels like a strange kind of sadness, like the car is trying to remember something it can no longer actually feel. Think about that for a second. A BMW M car playing a recording of what a BMW M car used to sound like. If that doesn't tell you something about the distance that's been traveled, I don't know what does. Now, and I genuinely want to be fair here because this isn't a eulogy, it's a conversation. The people who love modern M cars are not wrong. I want to say that clearly. The current M3 competition is a staggering performance machine. The way it covers ground, the speed it generates and manages, the breadth of what it can do from comfortable daily driver to genuine track weapon, it is objectively, measurably brilliant at an enormous range of tasks. The adaptive suspension that reads the road and adjusts in milliseconds. The all-wheel drive system that deploys power with a precision that previous generations could only approximate. The braking performance. The sheer acceleration. On a racetrack, driven by a skilled driver trying to go fast, the current M3 will absolutely humble the E46 M3 in terms of lap time. Not slightly, significantly. And for a certain kind of buyer, for someone whose primary relationship with performance is speed, whose primary metric is lap time, whose primary experience of driving is the output numbers, the modern M car is the correct answer. Genuinely. I'm not being sarcastic. The engineering achievement is real and it deserves acknowledgement. The question is just whether BMW M and fast are still the same thing, because they used to be the same thing, and now they're overlapping circles on a diagram rather than one unified idea. Do modern BMW M cars still feel special to you? I'm asking that seriously, because I think the answer to that question splits almost perfectly along generational lines in a way that's really interesting. People who came to M cars after the turbocharged transition, who have no reference point for the old philosophy, tend to find them absolutely special, absolutely worthy of the badge. And I genuinely understand that perspective. Without the comparison, without the memory of what came before, what's there is objectively impressive. But the people who drove both, the ones who have the E46 or the E39 as their reference point, the satisfaction is complicated. There's appreciation for what's technically been achieved sitting alongside a real sense of loss for what was traded to achieve it. And that combination, impressed and bereaved simultaneously, is one of the stranger emotional experiences that automotive culture generates. Would you take an older M3 over a new one? For a daily driver, accounting for reliability and modern safety technology, probably not. But for the experience of driving for its own sake, for the thing that M cars originally existed to provide, I think the honest answer from most enthusiasts who've driven both is more complicated than the spec sheet would lead you to believe. Here's something I keep coming back to. BMW still uses the phrase, the ultimate driving machine. It's still there, still on the marketing, still the brand's foundational promise to the world. And I genuinely wonder, and this is not a cheap shot, it's a real question, whether the people making product decisions at BMW M sit with that phrase and feel tension about it. Whether there are engineers and product planners in Munich who feel the distance between that promise and what the current cars deliver and find it uncomfortable. Because ultimate driving machine is not ultimate performance machine. It's not ultimate lap time machine or ultimate technology machine. Driving. The word driving implies an experience, a human experience. The act of operating a vehicle in a way that has meaning and feedback and communication built into it, and the direction M cars have traveled, toward weight, toward electronic management, toward performance that exceeds most drivers' ability to access it, toward sounds that are synthesized rather than mechanical. That direction is a complicated relationship with the word driving in a way that I think the brand should be honest about. Maybe the tagline should evolve. Maybe it's okay for BMW to say, we used to mean one thing and now we mean something related but different. That's an honest conversation. What's harder to accept is the pretense that nothing has changed while everything has changed. So where does this leave M? And more importantly, where does it leave the people who fell in love with what M used to be? I think about the younger generation of enthusiasts who are going to discover performance cars in the next 10 years, who are going to have their formative driving experiences in turbocharged, electronically managed, heavily assisted performance cars. And for them, that will be the baseline, the reference point, the thing they carry forward as their standard of what a great driving car feels like. And they won't grieve what they never knew. They'll love what they have the same way we loved what we had. But the cars we had, the E46 M3, the E39 M5, the earlier generations that were built around a specific philosophy of honest communication between driver and machine, those cars are becoming something more than used cars now. They're becoming artifacts, proof that a different approach was possible, that speed and soul were not mutually exclusive, that a car could be fast and also be the most honest thing you ever put your hands on. And that's worth something, even if the industry has mostly moved past it. Even if the economics of making cars like that don't work the way they once did. The fact that they existed, that BMW M once built things that felt like that, means the ceiling was real. The promise was kept, for a while. And the people who felt it will never fully stop measuring everything else against it. Has BMW become too focused on numbers? I think that's the version of this question that cuts closest to the truth. Not whether modern M cars are good, they're objectively very good, but whether good and special are still pointing in the same direction. Whether the pursuit of performance metrics has moved faster than the preservation of the thing that made the performance meaningful in the first place. I don't think BMW M is lost. I don't think the soul is completely gone. But I think it's being stretched thin across a product range that's grown broader and heavier and more technology-dependent than the original M philosophy was designed to support. And at some point, that stretch becomes a tear. Maybe it already has, depending on who you ask. Tell me where you land on this. Seriously, I want to know. Do modern M cars still do it for you? Is the E46 M3 still the high watermark? Or am I romanticizing the past in a way that isn't fair to what BMW M is building right now? Drop it in the comments. This is one of those conversations that the car community actually needs to have, and I'd rather have it here than watch it disappear into hot takes on social media. If MotorCore is new to you, we go deep on the cars and the culture and the questions that matter to people who actually love this stuff. Not for algorithms, for enthusiasts. Subscribe, hit the bell, and come back for the next one, because we're not done with this conversation by a long way. See you then.